Hello and welcome to this new video. In the previous video, we implemented our voice chat room management system for Teams. I showed you how to ask the server to create the room and generate the credentials for the client at each team change, which results in a leave of the old voice chat room and a join of the target team room. In this video, we will allow the player to control the voice chat. For example, he will be able to mute a participant in this room, as well as control the input and output of the audio, such as the audio volume and the transmission of the input between rooms. So we need to prepare a UI that allows the player to control the voice chat. Before we start, I just want to optimize one thing in our system when a client asks the server to join a team voice chat. Open your master player controller. You may have noticed via the dedicated server logs that the server received several requests for credentials for the same room when the client asks it to join a team room. The reason behind this is that our code asks the server to join a room as long as the player is not a member of that room. It should be noted that the voice chat interface may take some time to update with the new state of the player. Once the join process is complete, the voice chat interface does not update right away, and therefore the isPlayer_in_room function does not give the new status directly after the join. To avoid requesting credentials for the same room multiple times, I want to define a variable that tells us if a credentials request has already been made for a room or not. So add a variable of type map, where the key is a string representing the name of the room and the value is a structure of type voice chat room credentials. The implementation consists of checking that the player does not already have the room credentials before asking the server to generate the credentials. If the credentials of this room are not found, then it means that it is the first generation request. In this case, we proceed to the generation. Once the generation is done, we update the variable to avoid multiple generation for the same room. Another optimization to do is to update the waiting list in case of joining a room where the player is already a member. This allows to unblock the waiting list processing in the case of joining a room already joined. So copy the remove node and paste it in the case where the room is already joined. We will do the same for the leave case. To be able to control a voice chat from another object, in our case from a widget, we will need the logged-in voice chat user. For this, we must add a function in the master player controller interface that allows us to obtain this user from another object. So add this function. This function must return the voice chat user, and also a boolean that tells us if this user is valid or not, because if this function is called before the end of the voice chat login process, the returned value will therefore be an empty voice chat user structure. Go back to the master player controller to implement this function. To know if the user is valid or not, then just check their login status. We will now start working on our UI to allow the player to control the voice chat in the game. I want to make this modification in the two widgets of the player team because these two widgets are already ready to display the team of a player. I want to first move them into a new folder to organize the contents. Open these two widgets. In the Player Team widget, Add Content, it's just to have a preview of our UI. What we're going to do in this widget is to display a UI that allows the player to control the voice chat on his local machine, such as changing the input and output devices and the audio input and output volume. So I want to separate the display of the team members into a separate canvas. Select the content vertical box, then wrap it with a vertical box. Select the vertical content box again, then wrap it with a canvas panel. Set the anchor and check the box size to content. Add a spacer after the team member's canvas panel. Add a canvas panel in the parent vertical box, This canvas will contain the voice chat control UI. Add a vertical box to this canvas. Then set the anchor and check the size to content box. Add a vertical box to this vertical box. Add a text to this vertical box, representing the audio input volume. Add a spacer after this text. Add a size box in the vertical box of the input volume. Then define its width and height. Add a slider in this size box. This slider allows the player to change the input volume of the audio. Give a meaningful name to this slider. It should be noted that the volume defined by the voice chat interface must be between 0 and 2. So between 0% and 200%. 1 means 100%. So define the min and max value of the slider. We will now do the same for the output volume. First, add a spacer after the vertical box of the input volume, then duplicate this vertical box. Change the text and name of the slider. Repeat the duplication process to add the UI that allows the player to change the input device. Change the text. Remove the slider to replace it with a combo box which should contain the list of input devices. Give a meaningful name to this combo box. Duplicate the vertical box of the input devices to do the same for the output devices. Change the text and name of the combo box. Test the display by adding multiple team members. Set the widget size to be desired and check that everything is okay. Everything is fine for me. I will delete the added members. Go to the event graph of the widget. The first thing to do is to get the logged-in voice chat user from the player controller. First, remove the timer that is used to refresh the UI. We will do it differently. Add a variable of type voice chat user. Add a function that serves to check that the voice chat user is valid. In other words, that waits for the player controller to return a logged-in voice chat user. Add a boolean that indicates whether the voice chat user is valid or not. Call the function of the master player controller interface that we added and which is used to return the voice chat user. If the returned user is valid, then we update the variable voice chat user and the variable is voice chat user valid. In the event construct, add a timer giving it the name of the added function. Promote its output to variable to be able to invalidate it. Go back into the function and update the Boolean, then clear and invalidate the timer. We must now define the timer that we deleted and which is used to refresh the UI. We need to change our implementation of Refresh UI. Actually, this implementation has a problem that makes the content of the player team item widget unclickable. Calling the Clear Children node of the vertical box and then adding the item widgets again is a reliable solution if the item widget does not have buttons or content that the player can interact with. We want to add buttons to this item widget later to allow the player to control the voice chat of the participants. So we need to change this implementation in a way that the UI will be updated only if there is really a change concerning the team members. So remove this implementation, then add a function which is used to update the team members in case of change only. Get player team from server via player controller. Promote the team members array to local variable. We will need it later. We do not proceed if the length is 0. Get all children from the content vertical box. Cast to player item widget for each child of the vertical box. Add a local variable representing the current array of player team item widget. Append this array if the cast is successful. Once the loop is complete, loop through this array. For each member widget, get the player card variable. We must check for each widget item if this member already exists in the team or not. The goal is to obtain the list of items to delete. Therefore, add a function which is used to indicate to us if a widget item already represents a player existing in the team. This function takes as parameter the player card of the existing widget item and the new array of team members obtained from the server. So the implementation consists of checking if this player card exists in the new team members array or not. This condition can be checked by comparing the unique ID of the existing player card with the unique ID of each member of the new team array. If the condition is true, we return true, and false otherwise. Now call this function for each player team item widget. If the item widget's player card no longer exists, we mark it as a widget to be deleted. So add a local variable representing the array of player team item widgets to delete. We will now loop through the new team array to get the team members to add to the vertical box. As we have already done, we must now add a function that checks if a team member is new in order to add it to the list of members to add. Therefore, add a new function. This function takes as parameter the array of current content and the player card of each team member obtained from the server. It will be the same check that we did in the first function. When done, call this function for each member of the new team. If the team member does not exist in the current content of the vertical box, then we mark it as a member to add to the vertical box. Once we have the list of player item widgets to delete and the list of members to add in the vertical box, we can proceed to update the UI. We must remove each element of the array members to remove. Once finished, we add the members to be added in the vertical box. And there you have it. I know that you may be lost in this implementation. I invite you to reread the code to better understand the script. Now call this function in the UI refresh event. Go back to the designer, then select the input volume slider and add a binding function. The goal is to permanently display the current input volume set by the player. We must first verify that the voice chat user is validated. To get the current input volume, call the Easy OSS node, get voice chat volume input. This function returns a float between 0 and 2. Remember that the volume can be between 0 and 200%. Redo the same process to add a binding function for the slider output volume. Call node get voice chat output volume. Now we need to fill both combo boxes for the input and output devices. Add a function that serves to update the contents of the input device's combo box. To get the list of available input devices of the player's local machine, call the Easy OSS node get voice chat available input devices info. This node returns an array of structures containing the information about the input devices. Each device is represented by a display name and an ID. We will add options to the combo box representing the display name of the devices. Once the combo box is filled, we must update its default option so that it is the current input device. This allows the player to see the selected default device. The Get Voice Chat Input Device Info node allows to get the current input device. Set the selected option of the combo box according to the device returned by the node. Call this function in the function that waits for the voice chat user to be valid. Now add the function that is used to update the combo box of the output devices. call the node getVoiceChatAvailableOutputDevicesInfo to get the array of output devices. So it will be the same process of the input devices function. Call the node getVoiceChatOutputDeviceInfo to get the current output device info. Finally, update the selected option of the combo box. Same. Call this function once the voice chat user is valid. Select the slider of the input devices and add the event on value changed. To change the audio input volume, call the node setVoiceChatVolumeInput. Now select the output volume slider, then add the on value changed event. To change the audio output volume, call the node setVoiceChatVolumeOutput. Select the combo box of the input devices, then add the event on selection changed. To change the input device, we need the target device ID. Since the combo box displays names only, we have to find the target device ID from the selected item of the combo box. Once the target device ID is found, we can change the input device by calling the node setVoiceChatInputDeviceID. Same. Select the combo box of the output devices, then add the event on selection changed. We also need to find the target device ID to be able to change the output device. Once the target device ID is found, we can change the output device by calling the node setVoiceChat output device ID. I want to change the visibility of the parent canvas panel to be hidden by default, so I make it visible once the voice chat user is validated. This prevents the player from controlling the voice chat while the voice chat user is not valid. Once the voice chat user is validated, we set the visibility to visible. Our work on controlling the voice chat regarding the player's local machine is finished. We will now work in the Player Team item widget to allow the player to control the voice chat regarding the participants of the room. The first thing to do is to add a variable of type voice chat user, then set it to editable and expose on spawn. This variable will be updated by the parent widget. Go back to the parent widget to pass this variable. It will be in the Update Team Content function. Where we create the item widget, select the node and do a refresh. You will see this variable as input of the node. What we will add in this widget, 2 buttons allowing players to control the output volume of a remote player, as well as mute the audio input of the local player. So add a widget representing the local player input control, in other words the microphone control of local player. Open this widget, then add a canvas panel, then a second canvas inside. Set the anchor of this canvas, then reset all offsets. Add a vertical box to this canvas. Then set its anchor and offsets. Add a size box to this vertical box, then set its height. In this size box, add a button representing the microphone of the local player. Add an image to this button to display a microphone icon. This is optional but recommended to understand the UI in-game. Add a second size box to this vertical box. This size box will contain a combo box allowing the player to transmit the audio input between rooms. Set the widget display to desired. I have already downloaded from Google 4 icons, 2 icons to represent an open and muted mic, and 2 icons to represent an open and muted output. Select the mic button image, then create a brush binding function. The idea is to display the right icon depending on the state of the local player input. Add a variable of type voice chat user and make it editable and expose on spawn. This variable will be updated by the parent widget, so by the player team item widget. Call the easy OSS node, is voice chat volume input muted, which returns true if the local player is muted and false otherwise. We will select the button's icon according to the value returned by this function. Assign icons according to the returned Boolean. Select the button, then add the on-clicked event. If this button is clicked, then we must mute the local player input if it is unmuted, or unmute it if it is muted. So call the node, "Is voice chat volume input muted?" to know the current status of the local player input. To mute the local player input, call the node mute voice chat volume input. This node takes a Boolean parameter which must be true to mute the input or false to unmute it. So give a value to this parameter according to the current input status. Select the combo box, then add the event on opening. In this event we will add the options to this combo box, therefore the rooms in which the local player is a member. Call the Get Voice Chat Rooms node, which returns an array of rooms the player is a member of. Now add the options to the combo box. Select the combo box, then add the event on selection change. The idea is to transmit the input from room to another room. To transmit the audio input, the voice chat interface offers you three methods: transmit to all rooms, transmit to no rooms, and transmit to specific rooms. You can call the node Get Voice Chat Transmit Rooms to get the list of rooms that the audio input is transmitted to. I want to use the Transmit to Specific Rooms node because my game must transmit the audio input according to the combo box option selected. Be careful. You must first call the Transmit to No Rooms node to do a reset before transmission. Add the selected combo box option, which represents the room name as an element of the list of rooms for which the input is transmitted to. Since my game supports only one room, which is the team room, I will check that the transmission works well by displaying the current transmitted rooms on the screen. Be careful, the player can still hear the voice coming from other rooms. Note that this is a transmission of the input and not the output. We will now create the widget which is used to control the voice chat of a remote player, therefore a control of voice chat output of a remote player. Add a canvas, then another canvas inside. Add a vertical box to this canvas. Add a size box to this vertical box. Add a button to this size box representing the audio output of a remote player. Add an image representing the speaker icon. Add a second size box to the vertical box. In this size box we will add a slider allowing the local player to control the audio volume output of a remote player. The volume must always be between 0 and 2. Select the speaker image, then add a binding function. The idea is to automatically update the speaker icon according to the current output status of the remote player. Add a variable of type voice chat user, then set it to editable and expose on spawn. This variable will be updated by the parent widget, therefore by the player team item widget. To know if a remote player is muted or not, call the node is voice chat remote player muted. This node returns true if he is muted and false otherwise. You must pass the product user ID of the remote player. We can obtain it from the player card of the parent widget, so add this variable, then make it editable and exposable on spawn. As we did for the mic button, select the right icon according to the output of the node. Select the slider of the output volume of the remote player, then add a binding. The idea is to display the correct value according to the current volume output of the remote player. Easy OSS Plugin gives you the ability to know if a remote player is talking or not. This is the right place to use it to show the player which remote player is currently talking. You can do it also in the binding of speaker image. Call the node is voice chat player talking, which returns true if he is talking and false otherwise. To show the player if this remote player is speaking, I will change the color and opacity of the speaker button according to the value returned by the node. So the color of the button flashes green if the remote player is speaking. I will now update the slider value according to the output volume of the remote player. Call the node get voice chat remote player volume output, which returns float between 0 and 2. Set the widget display to desired. Now select the speaker button, then add the on-clicked event. The idea is to mute the remote player if he is unmuted and unmute him if he is muted. Call the node is voice chat remote player muted, which returns true if he is muted and false otherwise. Call the node mute voice chat remote player, which is used to mute or unmute a remote player based on an input boolean. Call the node mute voice chat remote player in channel, if you want to mute or unmute a player in a specific room. Select the speaker slider, then add the event on value changed. We must update the output volume of the remote player when the player changes the value of the slider. Call the node Set Voice Chat Remote Player Volume Output. Go back to the Player Team Item widget. We will add the two widgets that we created. Add a size box in the horizontal box. This size box must contain the speaker widget. Add a border to this size box. Add the speaker widget to this border. Duplicate the size box to add the mic widget. Set these two size boxes as variables. We need these variables to display the widget according to the player team item, so the mic widget will be visible for the local player item and the speaker widget for the remote player's items. Set their visibility to hidden by default. Going into the Update Content function, we must first pass the variables to these two widgets, so the voice chat user and the player card. We must now update their visibility according to the Player Item widget. If this item widget represents the local player, then we display the mic button only. If it is a remote player item widget, then we display the speaker widget only. Use the Remove from Parent node for the widget that should not be displayed. This allows to remove the offset of this widget in the UI. I just want to adjust the location of the Player Team widget in the level UI following these changes. The last thing to do is to fix something that I forgot in the master player controller. It is to move the release user node during the voice chat logout so that it is before the task, because this node requires a logged in user, otherwise the editor risks crashing. Normally everything is ready to launch a test. So launch a dedicated server instance and 2 client instances. Start a dedicated match on player 1 and player 2. Then wait until both clients join a voice chat room. And there you have it. We can clearly see that each player has the correct information, the input volume and the output volume, which are at 100% by default. We can also see the default input device and the default output device. We can also see the output volume of the remote player, which is also at 100% by default. Try playing with the input volume on player 1, then speak to hear the difference. We see that the speaker of player 2 starts to flash. This is because the two players share the same device. Try to play with the output volume, then speak to hear the difference. For me, I have only one input device, so I can't test with multiple input devices. Try changing the input and output devices. If your machine supports multiple devices, then talk to see the difference. Try to mute the local player. To test that it works well, try to mute player 2, otherwise you will hear the voice of player 2 and therefore it is difficult to understand which player we hear. Speak now. You must not hear anything. Try to transmit the mic to another room. In my case, I have only one room. To test that it works, I want to select it anyway, so I need to see the name of the room displayed. Try to mute the remote player. To test that it works, try to mute the local player too. Otherwise you will hear player 1's voice from player 2's machine. Try playing with the output volume of the remote player, then speak to see the difference. And there you have it. We have tested everything. If you notice a problem concerning the control of the voice chat for a remote player, check that you pass the product user ID as player name for all the plugin features. You may have asked the question of how to control the voice chat lobby. The problem of the voice chat lobby is that the voice interface of Unreal Engine does not provide us with any function allowing to obtain the voice chat user of the lobby. That is why it is not possible to do it with a plugin for the moment. We are working on the plugin to provide you with this possibility, but at the date of recording this video, the plugin does not yet support the control of the voice chat lobby. It will be for the next release, so activate the notifications to get news concerning this tutorial. An alternative solution is to create a room for the lobby as we did for the player team room instead of using the voice chat integrated with the lobby session. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.